Good afternoon, everybody. I am so excited to be back today. I took a little bit of a hiatus. I was moving for like 10 days, but my OCD has everything done, every nook, every cranny, everything completely done. And I could not ask for a better guest to come back to, Miss Teasha Cable. So thank you so much for everybody for taking time out of your business to work on your business and not in it, and spend some time with Teasha and I today. I'm Jennifer Bagley, host of The Catalyst for the Trades, and I am really excited for you guys to meet Teasha. Teasha, tell us a little bit about yourself. You are a tech genius. I've watched your business explode, and you are leading the way with AI and business and decision making. But how did you get here?
Well, thank you very much. Let's see, where do we start with this fantastic story about how did I get here? All right, so I had about a 25-year career. I've been everything from a VP of business operations, revenue operations, business development, and product strategy. Worked for an organization that used to help some of the largest companies in the world not be disrupted by exponential tech, like good old AI, and many others. And what I learned on the journey was, one, there's many ways to solve problems. But while I was on that journey, one of the biggest problems that I was trying to solve was how companies actually forecasted revenue accurately. And so I poured myself into solving that problem, developed an algorithm that actually worked, took it out to a bunch of companies, and was successful. But the challenge was not just solving for revenue, right? It was really what people were deciding to do in order to achieve those goals, or how they were even deciding what those goals would be. And so I decided to tackle decision intelligence as an area just based on that, right? So you take all the data and information that you have, human expertise, because you have experts in and outside of any company. And of course, we've got our good old friend, artificial intelligence, and combine them in order to get the best set of tools for a decision maker in a company.
I don't even think the average human being or business owner is consciously aware that they should be consciously aware of the processes and the fundamentals and the systems that should be behind decision making.
Yeah. I think what happens is, we tend to think that our gut is sufficient. And I'm not a person that works against the gut. I believe that the gut has a humongous role to play, because it typically is a firm representation of your expertise, right? You've done something for 20 years. Like, there's some stuff that I just know, and there's nothing you can tell me about it.
Yep.
But when things are moving really quickly, right? When you're in the depths of something, when something has lots of nuance to it, you want the right information in front of you at the right time to sort of balance that gut. And there are frameworks galore, right? So you take, for example, like a RICE, for example, where you weigh your options based on reach and impact, for example. Well, there's lots of these frameworks. A lot of times people don't know which of them apply at any given moment, but they at least help to structure your decision-making process. And the other one that people forget about in decision-making is time. So, like, when is the value actually going to be realized on the decision that you're making? A lot of times when you decide on a strategy or decide on an action to take to meet that strategy, you're not thinking about, when is that actually going to give me the ROI that I'm expecting it to give me? And so tools help us to facilitate those kinds of processes.
So I know that there's obviously an enormous gap and huge differences if you're dealing with a Fortune 500 company, an enterprise solution, or if you dive down into just straight entrepreneurship, grassroots, 2 to 5 team members, or take it to 5 to 50. When you are talking to a very small business that is attempting to build best practices into the way that they fundamentally operate personally as well as within their organization, where do you even have them start so that it becomes something that is they're consciously aware that they need to be considerate of, instead of, quite frankly, I think the earlier you are in your entrepreneurial, it's not just gut, it's just also emotions.
Yeah.
Something pisses you off, next thing you know, you're making really bad decisions.
Absolutely. Right. You didn't do this. You're out. I'm hiring somebody else. Right. And collapse. So, I start at the basics with companies. So in my experience, typically when people fall away from things as important as vision and mission, they tend to get lost in the yeses and nos of decision making. So when I talk to small business owners, my first thing is, let's start at purpose. Like, first of all, why does your company exist? Because the first place that I've got to walk you off the line is that you exist to make money. There's some outside in reason why your company is alive, and that thing is going to build the foundation for a shared vision and mission that you can share with your customers, investors, whomever else after that. And if you're not clear on that, it's going to be really, really hard for you to think about anything strategic. So that's part one, right? Which is, why are you here? And then once we get beyond that, we can start to map out how does the world look different when you're successful. And a lot of times that vision isn't something that they're going to see in their lifetime, but I want you to think that big about it. And then we're going to come back and we're going to put your mission together. But this time, we're not going to do it in the same way that like a nonprofit might do it. We're going to do it where it holistically ties to the metrics. So you're all of a sudden building out your ICP profile and saying, this is what I'm building, who I'm building it for, and this is what will happen to them once they're using it. And then after that, we start to connect how many people are in that market, right? You start building out a TAM.
Your TAM, yep.
Right? Once I do that and I've got that sum, I can go and realistically today, there's some percentage of that market I'm going to go and get. This is not age old stuff, but when you put it in process for people, they start to understand it fundamentally. And when I take that percentage and go, and now this is the number that goes in your financial model, all of a sudden the light bulbs start clicking off, right? Because now, the world is big. They're full of people that absolutely I could potentially sell to in very specific ways. So I am a small business today, but I can have a financial model that ends up getting me the kinds of financial freedom that I need over time, even if I have to do it sustainably. Like, most of these companies are not going to be exponential growth off to the right in like minutes, right? But they do have capabilities a lot of times beyond what they're imagining, because they haven't looked at their information in such a systemic way. And so after we're able to do that, then we're able to just pop off and be like, okay, so what are we deciding, right? How are we going to get there, right? And how do we know that that's the right place to go? How are we going to constantly validate that? And that's where what CModel does comes in, because now all of a sudden I don't have to think about all these things. My data and systems are connected. I can have the things in front of me constantly telling me, do I have the right goals? Do I have the right strategies? Do I have the right initiatives? Do I have the right actions? How are these things going, right? So that kind of, so that's where I start. I start there with anyone, but I really like to start there with the smaller guys.
So for those of you that are watching that have sat on a strategy session with me specifically, and you've jumped on and you're like, I want to know, how much does it cost to build a website? How much does it cost to invest in marketing? And I'm like, let's slow your roll and not just hawk our wares and tears like we're, got a garage sale with the group participation. Like, let's slow it down. Let's move backwards. Let's start gathering some information. And we start having this conversation. And it's such a struggle because the decision is price and marketing. And there is very, very little other elements that are being included in that equation. And that's why I think I'm not a traditional salesperson, because I'm going to go, hold on, let's do a market analysis. Let's evaluate your competitors. Let's evaluate your current revenue. Let's evaluate your recruiting strategy. Let's evaluate capacity, right? And these are the kind of guardrails that you need. Now, what you've done at CModel you've been able to extrapolate all of those pieces of data and leverage AI to be able to assist them in asking better questions, understanding timing, understanding the predecessors, as well as the dependencies, the risks, as well as the potential reward, the time in between the two, right? All of the other things. So you're not saying how much does it cost to buy a website? Right. That's the wrong question. That's not the right question, right? So
that's right.
So in an AI space or with AI, how is that sped up, improved? How has it increased the sophistication for a company to be able to make these decisions more rapidly, where maybe they were felt like they didn't have time to look at the financial implications, the people, the vendors, the time, the space, the market, and everything else? What really has been the biggest difference with CModel and the inclusion of AI in the process?
So the first one is, of course, data aggregation is a big deal. Right now, sure, you could go aggregate data in lots of different ways, put dashboards together, but that's not going to be as helpful as getting some answers. And the way that you're able to get answers is not the AI alone. It's the fact that we've got human intelligence behind the AI, right? So we've got a knowledge base of 45,000 lines of data of real people who've sat in the room on real occasions and seen real things and have contributed to our knowledge base. That makes a tremendous amount of difference, because I'm not here to say that human people, right, are not still really important in these processes. But what the technology does is enables us to box things up so that people can access the information as they need it. Because the key is the relevancy of information, right? The difference between a dashboard and a CModel, for example, is this relevant to what I'm deciding right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
How does this get contextualized so that it makes sense for me right now? And then the second thing is the process itself. I talked about a little process earlier, but this one you just mentioned around like problems and opportunities is really the other part. And some people come to these things differently. Some people, you can throw something in front of them and they can name the challenge. They can say, this is the problem I'm facing, right, help me. Or they can say, here's the opportunity that I want to take advantage of. Some people struggle with that, especially, right? And so when they do, we've got something to help you sort of brainstorm through by asking you the right questions to get you to the place where you can name the challenge or name the opportunity, which is the first step, and then take the guided process from here on out. That alone tends to save up the time, right? Even if you do it with your team. So even if it's not just me doing it by myself, but I share that experience with my team, I'm going to get 10x the ROI on the execution of this thing, because all my why and how I got here is now transparently available to my team. Not, you know, you don't have to expose financial data to people you don't want to, but you shouldn't be shy about your why.
Yeah, I agree. So let me try and break this down to help people put this in context. So right now, a lot of business owners in the fall and in the spring, this is in the contractor space, they have a little bit of free time because the weather's not cooperating. So that's their slow season. And that's also event season. So they will jump on a plane and start heading out to events. They sit in an audience and someone's on stage and hooting and hollering and all excited and showing them the fancy car. They might even have a picture of them with a jet. And next thing you know, they're walking the vendor floor and maybe they saw a competitor go over and sign up for a specific thing, or they were given some tchotchkes or koozies or a couple drinks at the bar. And all of a sudden there's 3 new softwares I'm signing up for. So that might feel like today's process, right? You get on some demos, you go through some sales presentations, and next thing you know, you're making decisions on a sales meeting when someone pitched you the price and a contract. What should it feel like when you're preparing to make a decision like that?
Yeah, what it should feel like is exactly that. It should feel prepared. So when we're going to spend money, we're going to, and money can be the time, right? Because you pay people and that costs money. We should have some options, right? We should understand the paths that we can take that will get us to success. So the first question is like, yep, thank you for showing me this software, but I don't need it unless I understand what I'm trying to achieve. And how does what I'm trying to achieve get achieved, or at least my circumstances get improved when I get this piece of software? So, oh, it's a sales tool. Oh, you say the ROI is going to be X, Y, and Z. The first question is, do I need that? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Is this, and then if I don't know that I need it, that's okay, because that's when I can go into a tool like ours and start evaluating how would this impact me if I did this thing, right? So before I make a decision to buy this tool, I'm going to go, hey, I saw this tool. It looked really cool. It's going to cost about $60,000. And then the next set of questions is going to be like, and how much time is it going to take to implement it? And what are all the things, how is this going to impact the other 5 or 6 people in your company? Then the real question is, what goal are you going to connect this to that you're trying to achieve right now? And then if there is nothing, then the suggestion is really like, there's another option here. Hold on to that. Don't do that right now.
Mm-hmm.
Now think about if you start making decisions like, don't do that right now, what that does for your business, including savings. They're going to tell you it's going to save you something, but the truth is, not until it's implemented is it going to save you something, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I understand this as someone who sells software, right? This happens this is the process that people end up going through. So my job is to tell you exactly how valuable this thing is going to be in delivering on your current ROI. Right. The current goals that you currently have. So anyway, that's kind of my view there is check it out before you know before you go. Isn't that what they used to say? Know before you go. Simulate that outcome.
Right.
Yeah.
So some ways that I'll give you guys some examples. Okay. So when you're getting set up on CModel, when you're getting set up with Teasha's company, the very first thing they're doing is connecting to all of your applications. So they're connecting to your financial systems, connecting to your field management system, connecting to your Zoom meetings so that they can watch you on all your sales. I'm just kidding. But connecting to your Zoom meetings, connecting to your email, right? So imagine an AI platform. I know everybody's in ChatGPT and rolling around and they're all excited and they're training it and it's becoming like them, right? Imagine training an AI on all of the tools that are surrounding you in your business, including the humans that are getting on meetings and representing you and also making decisions, right? And your new AI environment, your own AI environment, has the intelligence to know that you went to the conference, that you signed up for the demo, that you pulled the trigger 30 minutes after sitting on a sales meeting. And it stores that information so that a year from now, 6 months from now, 3 months from now, you're able to backtrack and say, what was the impact of that decision that I made in 30 minutes with limited information because I had FOMO or whatever it was, right? What was the impact on the business? Now extrapolate that out over an entire year and think about the number of decisions you make or don't make. And if you were able to identify not just ROAS, not just ROI, but what was the total impact of the multitude of these decisions on your business from a financial standpoint over time? Imagine improving your ability to be able to make decisions so that you get a more predictable outcome and you can catch yourself and say, don't do that. I've been through that before. I remember that 2 years ago when I put someone in charge of making those decisions without me jumping in or whatever it was, or I've got pissed off at my marketing agency and I fired them and started over 18 times now, wondering why it's not working. or right, the whole litany, or I didn't pull the trigger on branding and I decided to have my kid make my logo and whatever, and how did that impact my business? Right? Imagine having data and a systemic way to be able to evaluate whether you should or shouldn't, whether you should consider other factors, what the potential is, what the dependencies are, and the predecessors, and what is the impact on other things, right? It's an entirely different philosophy. And instead of just going to ChatGPT and asking a bunch of questions with its trained data from June of 2024 and everything else on the internet, why not utilize a platform where it's trained on you, your business, your financials, not just what you loaded into it, but consistently 24/7 of data that's real
And private. This is
and
the other one.
private.
So the other one is using these tools and letting our what do I want to call it? It's the unique value that each company brings, right, is key, right? And it should be, we should be using our data, our information, our company stuff to continually create unique value for our companies, not for
everyone else's.
And that's what happens when we use the large public models, just FYI.
Yeah. That's a bit. I always start my trainings off with that. I'm like, slow your roll, hold on.
Yeah.
So this is so let's just talk about AI for just a minute.
Sure.
Right? What are your thoughts on a business utilizing AI, not utilizing AI, and the impact a year from now and 5 years from now?
No AI, and you're gonna be in a world of hurt. So I think any business, I don't care what you do, you need to be figuring out what your use case is, whether or not it is a part of your offerings, your products and your services, or whether or not it is your internal tooling and operations. It is not going anywhere. It is not a fad. It will only increase in its abilities and intensity. And so if we want it to be good, then we've all got to get involved in building it to be good. And so that's my overarching feeling, is that I don't care what you're doing today. If you're not doing something about what you're going to utilize AI for, then it's problematic. The pace is increasing. It just changes the pace of everything, right? Everything is changed by the pace of artificial intelligence. Every single thing in your company. If you're a person today that has a mid-level role in a company, you're currently looking at disruption in different places. If you're a consultant today, you're looking at disruption in a number of places, right? Knowledge workers who utilize AI are going to be the ones that are successful, and knowledge workers who don't are going to have problems. If you work with your hands, you're good for a moment, but trust me, the time is coming, right? Where that won't necessarily be the case. So we all need to figure out how AI will play a role. Now, I'm not saying AI for no reason. I'm saying understand your use case, know exactly what problem you need artificial intelligence to solve for you, and then start whatever your process of implementation is based on that. But I get with it.
Yeah. Yes. So let's fix something really quick. Everyone's knowledge of what AI is very different. And depending on who they follow, they're getting fed information that may be extremely elementary or middle of the road, or someone that actually understands artificial intelligence and its capabilities. So from your vantage point, especially for all of our listeners who may be following the more elementary side, ChatGPT, is that AI? What are the different levels, and where are we discussing integration of AI versus just using an AI chatbot?
Okay, so yes, ChatGPT is generative AI. So I like to qualify my AI in three different buckets, right? So you've got what was back in the day and still exists in a lot of companies, supervised machine learning. And then you've got the generative stuff. We've seen a lot of that. That's what's expanding today. And what that is, it democratized machine learning beyond the academic layer that it lived for a long, long time. And then you've got what we do, which is like decision intelligence. So you have tools, you bring together data and analytics out of companies, sometimes human intelligence in our case, and AI, generative AI, bring it together in order to, and machine learning, and right, because you can bring a lot of things into the DI fold. You bring those things together and really to coordinate causal scenarios, like I'm going from action to outcome kind of stuff. So those layers of artificial intelligence become very important in going from where we are now in the Gen AI place to more autonomous. So we see agents coming out now. You're going to get more and more autonomous, right, with AI. As it gets autonomous, it needs a brain. That brain has to be facilitated by something, because you're still talking about mathematics at the end of the day, right? We're not talking, we are talking about computing. We're not talking about some, random robot just doing stuff, right? We are talking
just
not
computing.
The movies.
Right.
Yes, actually happening. And that's how we get the result. It's amazing. I love it. It feels very real, but it is what it is. And so we'll get into the more autonomous and more autonomous and more autonomous, right? And so there'll be programming on top of programming on top of programming to make that happen. So our system is agentic, right? So it's doing stuff for you. It's taking really complex things actually and simplifying them for you in what looks like a SaaS platform, right? But it's truly, of course, more than that. And I think you'll see more and more problems getting solved in that way. But I do think it's really interesting to watch some people who are saying they have these agents doing things, but they don't fundamentally even understand the processes behind what it is that these systems are what they're supposed to do. So I'd be very careful in my selection of tools, in that I actually have something that actually really does the thing that it says it's gonna do for me. Because process is process. Nothing happens without understanding the intricate ways that something happens. So if someone tells you they got an autonomous bot that does these 50 things, well, those 50 things are probably hard things. So we just have to be very careful. But I always tell people I like my buckets, and I like my buckets because it just helps me to think about what these machines will actually do for me.
Yeah, I like to keep them as small and focused as possible.
Yeah.
I would rather have more of them that are experts at fewer things. I feel like we have less crazy issues. So I think there's also a challenge right now of a misperception of the old school Zapier and IFTTT versus agentic networks. If you were to describe the difference, and I know especially this has gotten confusing for a lot of small business owners, because things like Grammarly and Zapier and IFTTT have now integrated AI, but are not AI. So now it's like, oh, well, that is what an agentic network is versus an if then this silly little sequence of requests compared to an agentic network.
Yeah, so I can use a system like, let's use Zapier, for example. I have a flow. I can press a few buttons that tell it exactly how I want it to connect to this tool and what exact data I specify I want it to push into that tool, and it runs that automation. It's going to next click this pre-built process that I've said. Versus with my agentic AI, it's got a prompt in the back that says, yep, in general, it looks like this. When you see this, do that. But the connected systems can go way further than just my automation that's set up to go. It's going to literally do the work that I've asked it to do, fully execute a whole task for me. So for example, oh, I want you to update my calendar. And then after you update my calendar, I want you to schedule another meeting. And then I want you to place a call out to such and such. And when you call them, tell them these 5 things. And then I want you to cancel that call and come back and do these other 2 things. So it's that kind of sort of system connection and actual real work. So you can totally replicate what the human does in some of those processes, as opposed to just the automation, which is just going to click a button. You might be able to write some rules of exception, but in this case, the system can process the exceptions in real time.
Yes, absolutely. I would look at it as either a single robot on an assembly line that's required to stamp something over and over and over again, versus in an agentic world, think of an entire org chart where you have an orchestrator and a director and auditors, and you have many different robots that are supposed to do these different things and hand off to each other and think through, should it go to this one or should it go to this one, or should I double check it or should I send it back to an auditor? So very, very, very different.
Sure.
Okay, so for automation and AI, if a business is broken, God, how do I put this? I want to be tactful, but part of me says don't, just go for it. So if there are pretty significant structural, operational, and technological issues and process issues within a business, and they start the automation, forget about Agentic right now, but they start the automation Band-Aid sequences, how damaging long-term to a business is that? And should they wait and say, let's fix our business process and decision making and our systems and so forth from the core first, and then look at ways to use Agentic to be able to do something great, better, and faster? Or do they Band-Aid?
Well, I think that it's a mixed bag. So this is one of those things where it's not as it's not a one size fits all, number one, and then it really depends on the depth of the issue. So if I've got a company that has some challenges, but I know that my assessments can help them to at least outline what then I would say you start implementing so that we can assess what the challenges are. The system can assess some of the issues and then tell you from there what are the things you need to do in order to fix it, and then help you prioritize when you need to fix those problems based on all the information that the system has. So that's one way that an agentic tool could help you to actually navigate through, what do I actually need to do in order to be right? So I got an outcome, what are the actions? So that's where something like a CModel comes to play. If I'm talking about, hey, I'm going to implement an SDR tool that's an automated SDR, but I don't have any messaging. That's something different, right? Because now all of a sudden you don't even have messaging. What makes you think that SDR, AI SDR is going to be successful if you don't have the right messaging? So therefore, take a step back and do the work before that you actually need to do. So I think that the problems themselves matter here, and then what are you actually trying to accomplish? What are you trying to do? That's correct. Yep. That's how I see that. So it's a mixed bag. I don't have one answer for it.
I would agree. I also think that it still boils down to, what is your systematic approach for approaching decisions?
Listen, you don't have to tell me twice, because you know how many people actually don't think about decision making, and it's why decision making doesn't belong to like a team. There's no like decision source of truth until now. CModel is a source of truth for decisions, right? But because people don't think about you think about decision making as a thing that happens, and it's an afterthought in terms of like, oh, did I even write that down? Right? There's like And so the steps often get missed, but we know all the best things happen through a process. Now, processes can be fast and slow, right? Not every process has to be some like, stick in
Arduous
the
process. Yes.
right, but process nonetheless in order to get the best results. I mean, a seed starts in the ground.
Yeah. I think one of the things during our review and diving into CModel that really helped me was the number of implied decisions that I make. That was a good aha moment for me. I had to have a little coming to Jesus with myself. Now I'm consciously aware. And I'm like, hold tight. I'm not making the call on this right now. What I am doing is I'm putting it on the ballot for discussion. Let's work through the process, which that's been very helpful, even in this short period of time.
Yay, I love that. Yeah. It's a
Yes.
big one. I find a lot of leaders do that. I mean, you go, you have a bright idea and you're the leader, you're the CEO of the company, right? Or anybody in the C-suite, and you start talking about that idea and the team's ready to go, right? They're like, oh, okay, that's what we're moving to do. And the truth is you only meant that I want you to think about it. Right? Or bring me back some ways that we could accomplish this. Or what you're really saying is, hey, do you have any better ideas than this
Right.
one? Because ours are usually the more complex and, and then how does the team actually get involved with helping you to think through an idea that isn't ready for prime time yet, right? And then, so all of these little nuances. The other one that really gets me all the time with people is the passive decision. So you were talking about the Zoom stuff earlier, Zoom, Slack, but you don't even recognize how many decisions are getting made in your company every single day in communication tools, right? People are deciding stuff all the time, and half the time you're not in that meeting, you missed it. So that's another interesting one.
So you guys, that's a great example of what an agentic network can do. When you have an agentic network of agents that are well trained on being able to identify when there's been a decision, an implied decision, a potential decision that needs to get made, and those agentic networks are following you and your team to all of your meetings. They're following the communication that goes back and forth in Slack. They're following the communication that's happening back and forth in email. Imagine having this kind of little angel on your shoulder that's going, whoop, I got that one. Let me just put it here so we can address it on Friday. I saw another one. Oh, those contradict each other. Oh, we've done that before. Maybe it's a newer employee. We've made that decision before. We've seen a negative impact. And now it has the predictive ability because it has historical data and information and can predict the future with it. So now it's able to go, we've been down that road before. We're going to not do this one. It's documented, it's recorded, it's in the system. Imagine having a platform where your entire team could go look at the decisions you've made and the consequence, good, bad, or indifferent, on the business from each of those decisions by category, by tag, by group, by ops, by finance, by tech, by sales, right? All of these different things. That can help knock off a lot of hard years off of a company.
100%. And a lot of decision-making time. So imagine too, you also go look at that and see, not only did we make this, but we can repeat this over and over again because, oh, it worked really well.
Right.
So we should just do more of that, right? And now all of a sudden you're not making the same decision over and over again in search of result. When you track them, you actually know what the result was. And so pour some gasoline on it.
Let's go. I literally have all the account managers on our team. They have a little sticky note. This is non-agentic. They have a sticky note that says what's working, what's not, and what's next. Because I want that to be top of mind. Like you want to double down on the things that are working, but you're having to rely on humans and a sticky note or a reminder to be able to remember what's working and it be consciously top of mind versus have your agentic network, the technology tell you that this was a decision that was made. This has a positive impact on the business. It brought in more leads. It closed more business. It converted more leads. We're now booking appointments after hours, whatever all these potential positive impacts are. And
Mhm.
the lift has been X, let's double down and do it again. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, the other one is for me that's been really interesting for my team, dog fooding, our solution
Mm-hmm.
is the implementation rates. So when I go look at my decisions and go look at how much of the stuff we're talking about as decisions that never get implemented,
Mm-hmm.
that was another little critical that will
Oh,
change how you think, right? We are talking about certain things all the time, but we don't take certain steps. And when you get a really low implementation rate on your decisions, you start questioning, well, why are we even spending time talking about these things, right?
yes.
Or how much is getting missed, or is this because I don't have enough capacity in my company, right? You start thinking about all these other elements when you start seeing data like that. And even the
Mm-hmm.
decision speed, you start going, oh, decision speed is low when I come to a decision and I only had one option. I jumped in and decided versus when we have three options, our decision speed is like much faster because
Mm-hmm.
right things like that are become really incredible little nuance.
Aha.
They
And
do. Yeah.
those are all dollar signs.
All money, every
Those
single
are
one of them.
all dollar signs, right? Time and
Yes.
resources. That's a big one.
Yeah.
I've had companies that have met with us like for probably 10 hours over 2 years and not pulled the trigger because they were concerned about price 2 years ago. And if you
Mhm.
had the ability to look at the lost opportunity cost of making no decision and no progress over 2 years, the cost to the company had multiple commas in it,
For sure.
way
For
more
sure.
than had they made the decision in the beginning.
Yeah, this is why having like simulation features is really important. So this is I want to just kind of be able to look at what if I do nothing, right?
Right.
What would happen? What is the true impact of this decision is ultimately the question that the system is asking you, and then you get to see if I do nothing versus if I do something, or what if I do just a little bit right now,
Mhm.
right? So
Mhm.
maybe I don't get the whole package. Maybe I just need a small amount of the package to get started. And that's a good place for us to be. Like that kind of leveling in the decision making, being able to do that much, much, much more quickly and effectively.
I'll just put a little, I'll throw this out to all of our private equity groups who have way too many decision makers, way too bureaucratic, and take forever to make decisions, and are not necessarily tracking systemically what's working from brand to brand to brand, branch to branch to branch to be able to speed that up. Yeah, you need CModel. I'm just throwing it out there.
And we appreciate that at CModel that you just threw that out there. Thank you very much.
We-
And true, I appreciate it. And honestly, I believe that most companies need our tool. However, I also recognize the leader who isn't ready for that level of transparency. Although that leader isn't ready for the future because the future is extremely transparent. Information is everywhere. So if you want your team to help you, and if you're looking to establish like what is really a trusted sort of work environment, these are the tools of the future. It includes CModel, but there are some leaders I know who aren't there yet.
Yeah. Yep. I don't have a lot to say about that other than this is going to be an interesting path with a lot of bumps.
Absolutely, it's going to be an interesting path, a lot of bumps, a lot of hard landings.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, a lot
And
of
and
tough decisions.
probably a lot of regrets.
Oh yeah, the speed of like adoption of AI tools is going to be one of them. I'm pretty sure there are a bunch of companies right now scrambling. Right?
We're what we are, definitely.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, we're having to rethink our entire infrastructure beginning to end, not
yeah,
just our products and services and how we deliver for our customers, but also ourselves. I mean, not because necessarily things are broke, or you wouldn't have thought they were broke, but when you look at what it could be now and what you can do now, it's absolutely broke
yeah.
because
I
the
love that.
opportunities, it's so big right now. It's huge.
It's like you're thinking in the possibility, which I think is really always
Exciting.
a question, right? So there's always what's going on right now, what's possible for us to do. And this is why things like your vision and mission, this is why I anchor companies to this from day one. Because if your vision is of this amazing thing, then your job is to find the ways to get there. So the possibilities are always an important part of that.
Right.
If you don't have those core strategy elements, then you're typically not going to be looking at the future in the same way, right? You're going to end up in a pretty stagnant place, which is what happens to a lot of companies. So my advice to everybody is refresh that vision right about now so that you can accommodate your business for the future.
Yeah, and I would append to that for the trades industry specifically, this is why I wanted to bring Teasha on here, is I feel like you guys are kind of stuck in this. Well, one, I feel like you are curious, which I love, and you're asking better questions because you have access to information significantly faster. But I also believe I just posted some long dissertation on Facebook about this because I be thinking all public. Just throw out all my thoughts, regardless of who participates or read them. But this industry's leadership is not thinking about where we're going. Their content, their information, their presentations is based on where they've been, the legacy they created from 10 years ago, 20 years ago, some 30 years plus. And I believe the trades industry needs some new leadership, some visionaries that are thinking about how consumers are evolving, how technology is evolving, and how businesses now have the opportunity to evolve past anything they've ever seen, done, or thought of before. And I welcome you as one of those amazing leaders this industry is blessed to have right out of the gate. You will be a catalyst in this space.
Oh, well, I really appreciate that. My hope would just be to help as many businesses as possible to take the next step, to be forward facing so that there's constant forward motion, to take advantage of every opportunity that they're supposed to take advantage of, and then also be able to live and thrive. So, most businesses in this category are going to be the companies that need to at least be able to employ someone else. And we're relying on that. It's going to be hard to maintain that if you don't have a solid backbone. So where the roles become less repeatable and mundane and more strategic, we have to be training our human capital to be able to manage the strategic roles that are going to exist in the future of work. And so this is the beginning of that. So every industry has to make this adjustment, and the trades industry is no different.
Yeah, and this is going to be tough. I mean, this is going to be tough. It is what it is. Like, oh my gosh. I remember my dad, when I first started my business, I was in my early 20s, and he was like, this is going to suck, right? And I was like, yeah. And anyway, he said to do it with a smile. And I was like,
Yeah. I think take the mindset though for just a moment. It can suck. It could. Or one could say, oh, wow, this is going to be exciting. This is going to be fun because it's going to be different. It's going to be an experience. And so that's the other mindset that one could take into this transition. But what I wouldn't do is sit on my hands and wait for my business to fail or get left behind, i.e. Blockbuster, boom, just like that, because we got Netflix, fear. Right? And because of things like fear. Right. And afraid of what? I mean, especially if you jumped into this business as an entrepreneur, right? That means that, fear is not necessarily something we as entrepreneurs can honestly operate in, because you're out in the world constantly trying to build unique value, constantly trying to move something forward, constantly trying to make big shifts.
Mhm.
And so every entrepreneur in this space should feel the same, should feel like, be a part of that transition, whatever is going to happen next. You should be leading what that is, because honestly, expertise is worthy. Expertise is worthy of being on the forefront and
Yep.
pioneering the next phase for trades.
100%. 100%. And
Yes.
consumers are going to evolve because they love efficiency. They love gadgets. They love gizmos. They love technology. They love it when things are easier for them. They love to have more free time with their family. And they already own every single device where AI will automatically pop up as a part of their everyday use. They'll have their own little assistants doing their own little things for them. I was just thinking about booking my nails to get done, and I would love to just say, hey, Siri, can you book me a nail appointment for Friday at noon? Add it to my calendar, call my girlfriend and see if she can come with me to the nail spa and make sure they serve wine.
Come on, like it's that simple. And I mean, these things are happening. Like this is
right now.
You're not even talking about the future. You're talking about today when you say this, right?
now.
That's
now.
today.
Yes.
Right.
Yep. That was my little throw at Apple that they should have rolled out in Q4, not pushed till Q1. But the rest of the platforms and technology integrations, every single day, AI is being rolled out as a native integration into hardware that's already in somebody's pocket, a handbag, wallet. My car is about to have full Grok AI automatically enabled. I was so excited about that announcement.
Yeah. I mean, for example, CModel right now can help you schedule your meetings and write the agendas for them, like that kind of stuff. Like it seems like something, but I'm like, these are the little things that people are going to want. What do you have a Tesla by some chance? Is that your
Cybertruck?
I am also a Tesla driver. So
yes.
Yeah, I get it. Awesome. Yeah.
All right, you guys. So Teasha, how do people reach you if they want to reach out to you?
Yeah, so visit us at CModel.io. If you want to actually talk to me, there's a form on the website. You can fill it out, and I'm certain it'll make its way.
And your podcast.
To my desk. That's right, Dynamic Decisions podcast. You can find out more about it on our website. There's a resource section, which should get you straight to our podcast.
Yes. I love it. Her podcast is amazing, you guys. So
thank you.
You guys take action. First thing to start with is just education. You're here now or you're watching this later, and that's the first step, right? This don't get overwhelmed. This is actually, life's going to get easier. So with that, Teasha, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule and being with us today. I really appreciate it. I'm so thankful to everyone that was here with us. Any closing words?
That's it for me. One, I hope that this has been helpful. Number two, reach out because we want to talk to you. And number three is don't forget about why. Know your why at all times and take that why into every single thing that you do. That's it.
With that, we're out.
Thank you.
Thanks, you guys.